In the wild, plants aren't just passive beings. Some are fierce predators. Take the Venus flytrap, for instance. It snaps shut in less than a second, trapping unsuspecting insects. Then there's the pitcher plant, which lures its prey with sweet nectar, only to drown them in a pool of digestive enzymes. These carnivorous plants have adapted to nutrient-poor soils by turning to a diet of meat. It's a wild twist on the food chain, showing us that survival often means thinking outside the box, or in this case, outside the soil. Nature's creativity never ceases to amaze.
What is going on, everybody out there in podcast land?
Hello, my darlings. What the hell was that intro?
That was kind of educational. I felt like I was watching a nature documentary there for a second.
Oh my gosh. Talk about the wrong Savage Garden, though.
Truly, madly, and deeply. I agree.
Well, look who's here.
Yeah, we have a guest tonight. It's Miles from Fermented Plant Extracts. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank y'all.
I'm so very excited about this show. I mean, ever since I decided to go kick it organics into high gear, and then Mama came on and talked about comfrey, and then I started looking for comfrey, and I've been following Miles for forever. And so I was on his page looking at all of his amazing products, and I'm like, I need somebody to just tell me what to use because I have no idea. I'm way over my head in all of this. So I'm thrilled he is here because he gets to tell me what to do, and it makes it so much easier for me. So thank you for being here, Miles. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Same way. Thank you all for holding space for the community and keeping everything together. Sorry, my doorbell ringing.
No worries. You're going to have a guest joining you tonight.
I'm going to have a guest here. Yeah, I'm going to text him and let him know I can't talk.
All good. Well, like G3 said, I've been a big fan. Been watching you for what feels like years now, and brewing up these magical plant potions that I need to learn more about. You know what I mean? I'm an organic grower, but to the extent that I buy organic nutrients pre-mixed in a bottle. You know what I mean? It's a bottle. They're powdered, but I'm not putting stuff together myself yet. I don't have that level of confidence quite yet. So, it's just I want to hear from A to Z. You know what I mean? Throw it at me.
Before we jump into that,
I'm 5.
We got to get through what we're smoking first before we can jump into the education.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're gonna get halfway through this show and then we're gonna realize we didn't do it. And we're gonna have to go backwards.
That's so true. Yeah.
So Miles, what do you got tonight?
I am smoking some of my genetics, some of the Mesa. I just did a fem line of my F2 of the Mesa, the keeper cut of the F2 generation we femmed. And I've been smoking different expressions of that. I'm doing a pheno hunt on it right now. And just kind of sussing out all the options of what's the keeper. And so I'm smoking Mesa. I'm out here in Western Colorado. And the mesas and the canyons are a big thing, so representing the place where I made the seeds.
What's her profile like? Is she what she smells like, and is she more sedating or stimulating?
I think it's more of an indica kind of sedative, not heavy sedative, but it's definitely more on the relaxing side of things than cerebral energetic. And the terpene profile is kind of more, people call it candy gas, the kind of category now. But I look at berries and funk, I get a fruit and funk, a cheesy Afghan sour type of thing, and a sweet creamy berry.
That sounds amazing. I want some.
It does. I have heard that term candy gas. Is that's become a category of it's just I guess I feel like it's a popular profile. So there are a lot of strains that kind of represent that modern.
To me, it describes a complexity. It's not all sour funk. It's not all cheese Afghan sour bitters. And it's not all sweet fruit candy pure. It's not purely one thing or another. It has this complexity of you get both worlds of the gas, the sour, the funk, and candy sweet. So it has become a thing that I think, cookies, like since cookies became a dominant force in genetics, it's passed on a lot of these traits of the candy gas, like flavors, and that complexity has become what the market desires. Is just these different flavors that kind of go together, but don't go together. They're kind of
yeah.
That, but it's a complexity thing of because sometimes flavor herb is really nice and perfect, but it's just one thing. It's like, wow, that's really grapey. It's not like grape and dirty gym socks.
Like a great meal, it's got depth of flavor. You got the sweet, the salty, like the bitter, the little bit of heat, an umami element. I mean,
yes,
I'm a big fan of those meat terps.
I like gas
knows.
all day. Like I like sour and funk and bitters and acrid and bad puppy kind of thing.
That's cool, man. Gas is another favorite profile. I mean, paired with just about anything, gas goes really well. So,
and I'm just as basic bitch as they come. I'm just like sweet, fruity, candy, little bit of gas, a little bit of chem, a little bit. If we get Lynn a little in there,
interesting.
Yeah,
I'm like the other way. I'm like, if I'm gonna have one or the other, I want sour. But I guess it's cool. Like everybody, different strokes for different folks, and whatever floats your boat, So it's good.
Yep.
Like we got the diversity in the gene pool, and it's cool now. We know what names are, and we can actually find what we like and want, not just take what we can get like the old days.
Yeah.
The world we live in.
I know we're spoiled now. If I could go back in time and tell my my 18-year-old self like the world we'd be living in now of cannabis, I don't even think I'd believe it.
There'll be stores and like brands and like billboards and shit, like right here in the South and in the West and in the North, everywhere. There's
Brave New World.
Oh man.
I thought about that when I was doing the whole hemp thing. I was like I was harvesting mountains of plants that didn't get you high and were full of seeds. And I was like, yo, if 10 years ago somebody told you this is what you'd be doing, or if I could see a picture of this moment, I would think something went wrong. Like, what did I do? I ruined my life. I grew a whole crop of weed that's full of seeds and doesn't get you high. Like, what went wrong?
That was what you were after, though, right?
It was. I was growing hemp for seed, but like this is the like we the hindsight thing. We're looking at ourselves.
You get that massively seeded bud, and you're like, yes,
full pollination.
Yeah,
score.
Yes, yeah. It's not something that that I look for as a tent grower. I'm just a grower, not breeding just yet, but again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Now I gotta ask G3
Kat,
what she's smoking.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you. I actually have Cosmic Queen. So this is my first run with her. I can already feel her like hitting my, how when you smoke a strain for the first time and your receptors haven't been introduced to that specific strain before, it hits you kind of like a ton of bricks. So I've got that tingly down my arms feeling. I've got that feeling in your jaw right here. That's just like, that's so nice. I love that. So she's good. Cool. I like her. Yeah.
What does she taste like to you?
She's very fruity, like grapey, little bit like almost a little bit of raspberry to her. I don't know. She is not developed yet. She is only a couple, like maybe a little over a week into cure. So this is not her final stage, not final form.
Okay.
This is like mini boss Cosmic Queen. Gotta wait for the big one.
And, this is an auto flower too, Miles. So like, I don't know, have you grown many autos yourself?
Not many. I've done a handful, but no, I can't say I've got a whole lot of experience with them.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, we love them. Just they're a tool in the grower's toolbox. If you find great autos, you can grow really great plants. I mean, I've grown this Cosmic Queen myself, and the one I got G3 was had like a creaminess to it.
Yes, there is definitely like it's not like a sharp fruitiness. It's definitely like smooth and creamy. And
like a yogurt parfait.
Like
type
Yeah.
thing, or like even this like cocoa butter kind of note, like a suntan lotion maybe, or like
I don't have that with her, but definitely the creamy, and that may come later. So I
Right.
have no idea what she's
it's
going to turn into.
it's really good, and that one's from Night Owl too.
It is.
So,
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
yeah.
Cool.
Yep, from Night Owl. The first plant I ever grew was Cosmic Queen Mango Smile. So, and I've grown Mango Smile a million times, and now I'm growing Cosmic Queen. And
Mangoes and cream.
Yeah. Oh, besides
Sounds
my
delicious.
first, actually my first one ever was Gloria, but I don't count her because she was.
We don't talk about.
We don't talk about Gloria. No. Anyway. All right, Kat, what do you have?
I have my grape juice number 2, which is the more orangey phenotype. Delicious as always. Like it's tangy, kind of grapey, but also citrusy. Has that gas note to it too, which I don't think we would call this quite candy gas, but it's like it's fruit with like a back end of diesel. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know. It's hard to really explain it.
Truck stop.
Close enough for candy gas. Sounds
Yeah,
like it.
we could. I think
fruit and diesel. Run it. I'm about it. That sounds great.
if we were trying to sell this on the shelf at a dispo, we're definitely
And some
calling it
Mylars.
candy
Yeah.
gas. Oh yeah.
Sounds good though. I love it.
It's really good, man. And now this one I noticed in the jars. I have little hygrometers in there, and this one's sitting at 53% in the jars, and I have to say, perfect. It is.
That's your sweet spot.
Spot on. I've been harping on this for a while now, and I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. 62% in your jars is way too moist for pleasurable smoking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know when we started on this. It's big Boveda that's convinced us
Yes, big Boveda.
we need to have our weed at 62%, just like your.
It's
your
a Cali
cigar.
thing too. It's like Cali people like their weed real wet. I think.
I can understand
it is like,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because NorCal's so moist, it's just kind of like in some environments it's hard to get beneath that. Like I'm in the desert, it's easy to I'm like 62 is so luxurious if you can keep your moisture that like you open the jar long enough to roll a joint and don't put the lid back on it and you're like you'll never see 52, 62 again. I mean, you gotta be like different environments. Like I bring Colorado weed elsewhere, like somewhere East Coast where it's wet, and it like gets all fluffy and wet and it turns into a different animal again. I'm like, I just got my little personal weed that I traveled with, and I'm like, this is different than I left with. Wow.
That RH.
Yeah. So in like the Pennsylvania swamp, the summer that we deal with here, like again, it's like 90% humidity outside. So like if you have your weed a little bit drier in the jar, like it when you open up that jar, it does take on a little bit of moisture. I don't know. It's just
rolls better.
I just think the weed is it's terpier. It burns better, burns cleaner. And yeah, like it's a more potent product overall because you got less overall moisture. It's the same trick the growers do when they send their buds to the testing labs. They just like dry it out a little extra.
Dry it out a little more.
It's like 30% THC.
Knock up that THC.
You got less moisture.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Web of lies.
So
Deception.
yeah, it is true. It is truly a web of lies.
How much you selling that weed for, old man?
I'm not selling. It's mine. It's all mine. So
400 an ounce.
Yeah. You come around after school, kid. We'll
I feel that
talk.
one deeply.
We'll talk. We are the old men now. It's a funny thing.
That's brutal. It's true though.
Like we were talking pre-show, little bit of a disconnect in like the weed space right now between like consumers and there's all different types of consumers out there, you know.
It's a big tent now. Like it used to kind of feel like this little cozy space that like you kind of had to be in on and trusted to be accepted and to be part of. And now it's like, no, anybody can walk through those doors. Like, and anybody will, and anybody does walk through those doors. And we're not all alike. Like we're not. You can't just count on every single cannabis user to be down and to be like us, and not in a bad way. It's just a connection thing. It's like we all come at this thing from a different angle, and like I personally am a producer. Like I'm not just an end user consumer.
Nice.
Like I like to say like cannabis is medicine, but the medicine that I get from cannabis, thank goodness I don't have illness, I don't have pain, but the medicine I get is from caring for the plants, like taking care of plants and caring for ganja that I know is meant for somebody else's medicine is my medicine. Like that does it for me. So and I've had that experience with other people, patients who connect with growing in that way too. And so a producer, a cultivator, a passionate hobbyist, like this is the angle I come at it from. I do business. I work in the industry. I work with industry and businesses and grows and commercial places. But like my connection isn't with the end user commercial buyer at the dispensary. I don't relate as much to those people, and God bless them for being the customers and for being on that side of things and for still loving the plant the same way. But like,
what you got that's over 30%?
Oh my god!
I don't connect with that. Like, and I get it. I get that they're just there. Like they want. I can connect with the fact that they want something of good quality.
That's what they perceive as good quality, though. I think that but weed should taste good, and if you're I think we go over it all the time. You take more THC in the plant, you're taking out other compounds, probably terps, different cannabinoids, flavonoids,
the important stuff.
all that stuff. Yeah, the stuff that actually adds to the entourage effect, that really elevates your high. I mean, we've all smoked those 18%ers that take you to like outer space,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Aunt Ginny's is a 1-to-1 and she sent me to the moon.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It was bonkers.
Yeah.
Like there's so much more magic in the plant than just THC.
Something to be said for it. But so you're in the right place, man. Like you're talking to a bunch of community of home growers, and we're the passionate, like we would be growing whether the law tells us we're allowed to or not. I'm speaking for personal experience. We're the tent pirates. We operate as kind of like, we're a little bit on the fringes of this community, but we're still like, we might be the best like market, to be honest, for like the type of products that you make and sell. Like
100%.
We're the passionate growers who want to like learn as much as we can about this hobby and like, really dive headfirst into the whole world of this thing. And we're the craft cannabis producers of the 21st century, man.
Yeah,
We grow the best weed on the planet. I'll shout it from the mountaintops.
No, people who grow it for their own personal use are by far producing the most high quality and unique crops. Like consistently in the market, there's like not as much diversity of terpene profiles and different types of herb. Like commercially, people are growing 60-day finishers, and in people's tents, like I got a guy right now growing my seeds, going like 100 days on it or something, like growing one of my
Hell
seeds.
Ooh.
Yeah, and wasn't planning on it. Like just had this plant that didn't finish, and he's just like, "We're gonna run it. We're gonna finish this lady and see how far she wants to go."
No market pressure to like get something done. It's just like, hey, let the plant finish.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, love, care, and energy into each and every plant, and they just turn out better because you can baby each one. And that's like, we genuinely believe that. And I'll put my jar up next to any Mylar pack, and we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
The personal grow. There's something magic with people putting their heart and soul, as you're talking about, into it. Um, there's even a personal connection where, like, I say this all the time. I've grown crops that I knew weren't as good, like I could do better, and I still prefer that herb over like just commercial herb or even my buddy's herb that he put his heart and soul into. It's like, oh, I see that you did really good this run, and it's amazing. I still would rather smoke my stuff that I know isn't that great. I could do better because I put my heart. It's like this personal, energetic exchange with the plant. That's real, and you don't until you've done this thing a few times. Man, but you can't explain that to people. Like the exchange, the energy that the plant holds and gives back to you, and
yeah, made with love is a totally real thing, and it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely,
special thing.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So let's get into the meat on the bone here. I want to hear about what you do. So first of all, what are fermented plant extracts?
So, fermented plant extracts are a biological, meaning living, fertilizer or nutrient that augments living soil systems primarily, but can do real benefit in just about any system, one way or another. Whether that's in recirculating systems, we don't feed it to the roots; we just foliar spray. That's kind of the only limiting factors. I don't ever put these in a reservoir that recirculates. So if you're drained to waste out of that reservoir, you're all good. So and a foliar spray and veg, and then stopping in early bloom, week 2 to 3, depending on your genetics.
Okay, cool. There's just side note. Would you know what autopots are?
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider that a drain to waste or a recirculating system? I'm not even sure.
That's passive. That's passive. So I mean, I think it's okay. I think we've done it in the tray to grow. I've done it in the tray to grow and in the
same
box reservoirs,
that
kind of stuff.
All right. Yeah. So it's not like
same thing.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So awesome. So they're designed to supplement, or can they act on their own as like a fertilizer?
It's not a base nutrient. No.
Okay.
It's not a base nutrient. It does provide nutrition and it does like signaling where the microbial secondary metabolites, like the byproducts of the microbes, instruct the plants in like your plans and where you're going with the crop. And that's what you're talking about. G3 was what to use when is this signaling. So like a fruit ferment signals the plants to produce fruit and to be in flowering and to go in that direction.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is I just posted something about the specific chemicals that are produced by lactic acid bacteria, which are the bacteria in the specific biology in my product. Mm-hmm. And the chemical lactones, I think they were called, that the lactobacillus makes that act as signaling and communication between the plants and the microbes. So that's kind of one of the more cutting edge benefits of the product. The main benefit of these microbes is that they're decomposers. They break down organic matter and make that organic matter available to plants and to other biology in the soil ecosystem. So you're not only feeding the plants, but you're also feeding all the other things in the soil and enriching the soil.
Gotcha.
So we call them saprophytic, which also means like a decomposer. So they're compost accelerated, decomposing microbes. So these products and these microbes are even useful to people who are just like gardeners, just making their own compost piles. That's really a great benefit of this product.
So it'll instead of taking 9 months
forever and a day
some type of compost, it'll take half the time.
It can definitely cut down your I wouldn't say a third, but it can definitely cut down the time of your compost decomposition and make it more rich in the end. Also the lactobacillus are anti-pathogenic, so they're generally going to keep bad bacteria and bad forms of life out.
So if you foliar spray Can that help against like powdery mildew and things like that?
Yes. They're
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. They're like lactobacillus being anti-pathogenic is, and all forms of lactobacillus. There's hundreds of species of it. It's a big family or big category. They are all pathogenic. They're all anti-pathogenic, and they're all decomposers, and they exist in all different kinds of environments. Um, Different species of them like occupy different environments. Some on plants, some on people, some inside the digestive systems of animals.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over the world because they can live in air and without air. So they're really versatile. They can live in a still
Gotcha.
water. They can live in soil that's been oversaturated. So that's a benefit of using fermented plant extracts, is that if you are outdoors and you're not in control of the rain and it rains too much and your soil gets kind of heavy saturated, when pathogens would move in and kind of have a problem with that, you've treated the soil so the lactobacillus is already present. So it acts as an anti-pathogenic. It keeps the bad guys out
It's
in that
already
oversaturated conditions. They thrive.
established, and then
Exactly.
the dominant strain in the soil. That's cool. So,
Yes.
I guess my question is, does the plant extract, is it acting as like a vessel for this lactobacillus, or is like each, you have different types of extracts, and I have to imagine like each one has, they got to do different things, right? Like, so why is there fruit in there?
So here's the thing. Lactobacillus is a decomposer, right? They break down organic matter.
Okay.
So in my fermenting vessels, I give the lactobacillus a very specific food supply. One specific nutrient-dense food supply per batch. So the comfrey ferment is just lactobacillus fed comfrey. There's a little bit of sugar in there to kind of like a fast food source to start up the fermentation and get the microbes just going quick. But then there's the food nutrient dense plant matter as the like primary food supply.
Okay.
And that's why there's fruit in some, and there's comfrey in others, and there's hemp, and that's kind of each one of these targets a different
You got one
phase of plant growth.
I was gonna ask. There's one that like so we're feeding cannabis. Essentially, it's cannibalistic cannabis.
Ooh.
So yeah, and in Jadam, which is I love it. Yeah, in some of the more modern versions of these natural farming preparations, that's a big key. Is like if you grow strawberries, you have strawberry waste. Like you have all the strawberry plants and all the berries that weren't good enough for the harvest and all the roots that you pulled up out of the ground.
Oh, dude, I have buckets of leaves that I'm taking off when I defoliate and stuff, like, so I can make like this is perfect.
This is right. So in a recent article in Acres magazine about what we do, I can't remember the article, but Steve Diver wrote a great article about us, and he called us peasant farmers. He said like worldwide peasant farming, because it's like, it is literally like, what do you have and what can you do with what you got? Because like ultimately there comes a time when you can't just go out and buy fertilizer.
Yeah.
There's like things happen in life, and like you can't always like lean on the hobbyist aspect of these things. Sometimes the hobby has to cover itself. Sometimes the hobby has to like justify its own costs and means. So that's where fertilizer making, compost making, soil building kind of comes. Also, when you're stable and in one place, and you can say like, oh, if I enrich this bed outside, if I dig a hole, I can grow in this hole every year now. I can use this enriched soil ongoing. That's in once you're sedentary in that lifestyle, like I'm not moving around all the time. You can
it's basically like chop and drop.
Yeah.
Like you just
100%
chop it off, leave it there, let it be food for the microbes for the next plant.
Exactly. Chop and drop is the most basic form of soil building. It's the easiest thing to do.
Well, you expend the energy one time, you build your soil one time kind of thing, and then you just maintain it. And it's like, yeah, I think a lot of us here are, varying levels, I would say, of living soil growers. I think like some of us like to say we're living-ish soil growers. Like there's, I can find some soil mites. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be a couple nematodes. But
Well,
yeah, haven't gotten the full nine yet. So like,
well,
this
back
really
when I bought
intrigues
when
me.
I bought nutrients back in the day, before I went living soil full on, which was actually precipitated by life events, as I said before. Like that, whereas like I didn't want to go living soil. I mean, I did, but like what made me do it was that like I couldn't go and buy fertilizer. I was like, you're gonna keep growing weed, but you can't afford it right now, except for the power bill. So I made it work without fertilizer. But yeah, that's kind of like a key factor of just do it yourself thing.
Yep.
But,
So what was your first step in the no fertilizer dead zone? What was like your first step into ferment?
well, okay, real quick, I wanted to say though, I'll answer that
Yeah,
my
yeah.
first step.
Mhm.
But I wanted to say, even these chemical fertilizer companies, they have a lot of them have biological elements, like a subculture or like I don't know the product, oh, like a great white or something. Like there are commercial biologicals that do push the synganic mix, And
We
as far
like
as
to
my
say orgthetic around here.
or all right, synganic organic. I mean,
Just
like
playing.
my first step for ferments, like I've been like, well, I mean, the story is I got raided in Denver and shut down, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Ooh,
What am I gonna do? You know? And I didn't shut down. I just moved across the state and set up like my little medical thing again, personal, and like I didn't have no money to do nothing. I just had the money to rent the apartment, to rent the house. That's it, and to keep the lights on, literally. And I just started making everything. Like I'd already been online, like learning this stuff through the years, and being like, oh yeah, you can do this with like clamshells, and you can do that with like. I knew how to make compost already. I was like, my parents are old hippie vegetarians, so they taught. I learned all about composting and on all this stuff back when I was a kid.
nice.
And growing up, like God bless them for showing me that right way of just growing veggies and growing your own food. So then when I started doing it because I had to, and so I started doing sprouted seed teas and aloe and ferments and every single thing I could. And then like years later, after like doing that for a minute, I kept looking at all the different versions of it and being like, you could bottle this up and you could bottle that up and you could do this and this. And I'm already like using all these things in my own garden.
Yeah.
And I thought like, and I'm starting to grow comfrey on a big scale at this point. And I'm like, why don't I, like, what can I do with all this comfrey? I can't, it's not enough to like grind up and sell as a mulch or as a meal. And I kept thinking, why isn't somebody doing this? Why is nobody doing like this thing that we all kind of know and understand? And like, why isn't anybody just bottling it and marketing it, doing it at a scale? So I just did it. And it was like,
Hell yeah.
God bless Jeremy, Build the Soil, and like the whole crew there for supporting
Yeah.
from day one, and for some of the bigger customers in the beginning that believed in it because they knew I wouldn't blow smoke, figuratively. So I did a lot of work with the ferments before, just on my own, just knowing like this works. The same as sprouted CTs and other things that are just kind of like soil augmenting. Now, they're not the thing that makes the soil rich. They're the things that are like greater than the sum of its parts. When you start adding these things in, you start seeing the benefits in a big way. Whereas you could grow living soil water only, but like you get a lot. That's not the nature of this thing, really. It's just to do water only. It's immersive,
No,
and
no.
you learn, and I don't know.
Well, like you said, like you're opening different pathways of the plant. There's all these different like secondary things that happen in that some of which we're not even aware of, like that they respond to different inputs in certain ways. And I loved how you phrased it, like if you want the plant to flower, what better thing to do than add like a fruiting plant, like fruiting or flowering, kind of the same thing, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's just like it makes nothing but sense. So you're like, by adding that fruit stimulus, there's some kind of hormone or enzyme that like triggers that mechanism inside your own plant, and it tells it or guides it in that manner.
Yep.
No, I love it, man. And so I want to bring up your site now. Like I'm familiar with Comfrey. We talked to a guest like a couple weeks back. G3 was saying about like we got comfy with Comfrey.
If anybody missed that episode, it is available on
amazing.
YouTube. It's really great. It's all about companion planting, and it's our episode with Mama
Cover
Wanna
crops
Q.
and
Highly recommend. Go check it out.
We learned like you can do so much with this plant.
It's a great one. Yeah, my mom used it in her salve. Like we've used it in. I mean, you could eat it if you were hard up, and you grew it on. If you grew it on safe land, like not contaminated land.
And like a little salad with some olive oil. Or
no, you'd like
vinegar.
cook it down a few times. Like no, you want to like cook it a few. You want to boil it and then saute it. Maybe.
All right.
Yeah, something like that. But it's like desperation food. If you're like hard up, you're glad to have it.
It's a struggle meal.
Yeah, but it's useful in all these different ways. It's very useful, and it's a dynamic accumulator, so it draws up lots of nutrients and holds it into its plant cells, and that's what I'm using it for. Is this nutrient dense plant matter, the food source with microbes.
Awesome.
Cool. So, it like when you put the comfrey in, and the like, does it attract a certain strain of lactobacillus, like you were saying? That, like, again, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to figure out why, like, one of them, and I'm going to bring it up here, like one has watermelon and one has pumpkin and that stuff. Like,
and peach.
Yeah,
How do I?
like,
I was like,
peach,
watermelon or
like,
peach.
So, like, what?
I know.
Are they different?
They're not that. I mean, like they're different.
They're
different.
NPK value. Like I got.
There are MPK values. They're
Okay.
not like variant that much. They're generally like, it's not like, oh, you get way more of this in the pumpkin. It's kind of, I always describe it as like makes like. So like comfrey is just leaves and stalks. I don't even use the roots of the plant in the comfrey ferment generally. Peaches are like sweet. Pumpkin is large and bulky and heavy. Watermelon is large, bulky, and heavy, and sweet. It also retains a lot of water, right?
It sure does.
Hemp has stalks, leaves, buds. I even put roots in those ferments often. Horsetail has certain properties of for silica. That's widely known on the website. Interesting. But yeah, I did a tobacco one. Okay, good. Tobacco was I couldn't really. Tobacco water was good for killing bugs. And this was something I was experimenting
with. The nicotine,
something to kill bugs, which
interesting.
It couldn't be marketed as such as a pesticide, and I never made another batch. But yeah, there's some great benefits to using all of the different ones. Also, there's benefits to just introducing a lactobacillus ferment of nutrient-dense plant matter, whatever that is. And that's why I always give people the option to say, like, there is a one bottle solution that you can just, if you wanted to buy one, the comfrey and the nettles are really good for like all purpose.
Gotcha.
There's not so much nitrogen in them that they're going to cause a problem feeding them into bloom. In the way that you were talking about, do they have NPK value for like fertilizer content? They're not going to cause an issue in that way.
Okay. It depends how you're going to be using them too, I suppose. Like, I mean, if you're, I don't like to, if we're in flower, I don't like to be using a foliar feed,
No. I always say stop when the bud set begins, when you get the little white furry Guy Fieri looking buds.
Pom-pom with Guy Fieri buds, like that.
About.
Pom-pom heads, I think. I say. But,
yeah. Once you get those, like once you get pistil growth, that like if you saw those pistils wilt and turn brown after you spray, if you'd be upset about that, don't spray. Like, not that it's gonna do that, but just like that's the risk, and the other risk is residue, like later, because you don't know how long things take to break down on the surface of the plant. It's not, you don't want to smoke residue.
No. So, like, yeah, I guess my question is, I got so many. I feel like I'm still like, so we got different types of microbes, different types of lactobacillus, and we're triggering different like mechanisms within the plant by adding these different ferments at different times, right? Like, I'm kind of getting it.
So lactobacillus is present on the surface of all these plants when I harvest them. And it's also present inoculated into the water when I brew the ferments. So all these different strains of lactobacillus kind of get to fight it out for the food supply in the brew. And the final strain counts are less important. The more important, like the importance is that the biology is present and that the food supply that they've been provided has been in a large part decomposed and gone through by the microbes, consumed by the microbes, fermented, however you want to describe that happening. And then it's basically like the byproduct, the waste, the manure, the castings, as we would say if it was worms. Mm-hmm. That waste material is nutrient dense and has enzymes and hormones and biostimulants and all kinds of compounds, which we generally categorize that entire set of microbial waste as secondary metabolites. In this case, a bacterial secondary metabolite. This is where the benefits of the fermented plant extracts largely lies, is in the not only nutritive content of that, but all those other enzymes, biocatalysts, stimulants, hormones, who knows what else. And the composition of that is dependent upon the food supply. So that's why there's all these different flavors of ferments. The composition of that secondary metabolite set depends on the food source. Like, cool. It's just like what you eat kind of thing. The microbes, it's not just their waste, it's like the dead microbes and all the evidence of their life.
That answered my question fully. And you know what, honestly, it made me think of, like I was telling you, I work in the beer industry, right? And like, so there's a type of beer that uses lactobacillus to ferment what's essentially a plant extract, right? Just you're extracting sugar, you put it in a big vat, you boil it, you add some lactobacillus, boom, you got a sour beer.
Yep.
So is
sourdough bread,
lactobacillus,
bread, right? Same microbe.
Same stuff, right? Now, is there alcohol as a byproduct in any of these extracts?
Like in small amounts. It's not like it becomes alcoholic, but there are like different. There are
like if you know
alcohol states.
If you know how beer is brewed, right? Like you add a yeast or you add a lactobacillus, but like a yeast, right? What it does is it eats the sugar, and the way I always describe it, it shits out carbon dioxide and alcohol. And like in your case, like you talked about, like it's the excrement
alcohol,
of
ethanol,
of the lactobacillus
can be one of those outputs, one of those secondary metabolites.
Dude. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's not in a large part.
Like,
it's not in that.
Maybe 3% ABV.
No way. No, like way low.
3%.
Like what we see is lactic acid being the primary, like, because they're called lactic acid bacteria, so they want to create like the environment they want to live in. So their main output is lactic acid, which lowers the pH of the solution, and that is evident when you're brewing. You see the you see the off gassing, the carbon dioxide, and other who knows gases. and you see the pH drop over time because they're creating their own environment, creating more and more
I
lactic
love it,
acid in the
dude.
solution.
It just clicked with me. Like you're brewing different types of beer to like
Plant beer.
yeah, it's plant
Beer for
plant
plants.
beer. And I mean,
Non-alcoholic plant beer.
yeah, right? And
Yeah,
beer was intended to originally be like a nutritious beverage. That was like, it's because
well, and
the
that's another
water wasn't
thing.
good to drink, right?
Well, that's what I was talking about before with it being anti-pathogenic, was that the
Yeah.
lactic acid makes this brew uh, less susceptible to having pathogens in it than if you just brewed with like sugar and water and plant matter. You're more likely to get just who knows what microbes, pathogenic or helpful in there. But there's simplifications on this process as well in Jadam and Korean natural farming.
That's so cool, man. Like, I talk about it a lot on the podcast. People have heard me if they listen, but there's all these similarities between agriculture and farming, and then like the brewing process and all these overlaps, because you have waste products on the farm. You have, like you're talking about, like you how do you sustain yourself with what you already have, and what your waste products of
Yeah.
one thing become like an input in another. It makes
Well,
nothing but sense.
The connection between the farm and the kitchen is like what we've lost. And that like if you brewed a bunch of beer or wine or coleslaw or whatever, like if you don't eat it in time, or if people don't like it, it's unpalatable for some reason, it turns into something else, which is a waste product. And treated correctly, that like in that setting, like waste isn't a thing. You have like anything you have is an asset, and even if it's just food for the compost pile, or this made a special, this kind of wine turned out, it tastes like shit, but it's like really amazing when you spray it on the plant. What it's like kombucha is amazing. Like you can make plant kombuchas using the same microbes as you would make the drink out of, but give them different food supplies, and you can make a kombucha just for plants. It's very similar to the fermented plant extracts that I make. Just different microbial subset you're using as your starter.
This is definitely a plant kombucha, I would say. Like
anything,
it's
like, not a beer, it's not a kombucha, but you're right.
It's somewhere in there. No, it's totally like, it's a potion. So it's right. It is. It's super cool.
Do you grow all of your base plants, like all the comfrey, the watermelon stuff? Is that all done by you, or how else do you source it?
I source it locally, but it's as much of it as I can. I've grown some watermelons for this. I've definitely cannot continue doing it the way I have. I'm like, peaches are easy. I'm surrounded by peach orchards. Pumpkins are relatively easy. I can grow them. There's people locally that grow them. That's easy. And I'm in a really nice organic area. The largest concentration of organic farms in the state is around me, and there's tons of orchards. It's cherry season right now. I gotta go get a box of cherries. So I do as much of it as I can on the farm. The primary ones that I do are comfrey, nettles, the horsetail I wildcraft locally. The sage and willow is wildcrafted, all locally and responsibly, of course. And then what else do I grow here? I grow pumpkins. I don't grow enough pumpkins to supply what I need. And I have a couple local guys that are pretty good that help me out. The mushroom product I do, the substrate tank, I get local mushroom blocks from a farm out here that's really useful in ferments and in just growing mushrooms, producing that way, and in compost building. Geez, huge asset there.
I bet. You always know you got, the healthy soil is where the mushrooms pop up.
Yeah, and healthy soil is made from like good use of your waste. So it's always about like access to waste that you can tap into and use it in a cool way to enrich something.
Did I read that your wedding agent has rosemary in it?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell me how that works? works, how that specific wedding agent works?
Interesting.
So this is again, one thing I haven't touched on, like about everything I do, is that like I didn't make any of this up. Like this comes from other sources that I'm always about to like share and show my primary resources and where I got what I'm doing from. And so the wedding agent comes from this technique called Jadam that's taught by Young Sang Cho, who I studied with in NorCal in early 2024, I believe, when he did a class. And some friends of mine, when we all took this class together up there, went into a really great friend of mine in California, Alex, went into production of this. And it's basically a Castile soap. It's a liquid soap.
Nice.
That the oil in that soap is cooked with the rosemary in it before it's applied into the recipe for the soap. The rosemary is completely filtered out and it's cooked into the oil, so you lose a lot of those like volatile, iconic rosemary kind of smells. It doesn't have a rosemary smell. And this is again like something that people could like. I use this to do my dishes, and I use it in my, like I'll use it in my laundry when I don't have laundry soap and stuff like that. So it's another thing that anybody can make at home, and we are like open about how that's done, but we've also kind of done it enough to make it consistent and reliable. And it really does help the ferments go longer. It reduces the smell of them when you foliar spray this with the ferments, because the ferments do have kind of a funky smell, and that's the number one.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I'm starting to mitigate that with some different brewing techniques that will have to be reflected on the labels and everything through the line. But I am working to kind of reduce
when you add a wedding agent, it'll maybe mitigate the smell maybe a little bit and make less product go a little further.
Yes.
Using it as like a foliar spray, of course, or even a soil drench. I mean, and yeah, it's crazy. I'd never. So like you're just basically making a surfactant, right? Like a saponin.
Yep.
Is
100%.
soap, right? A saponin is basically soap, and you're using that as a like that's genius, man. I mean, I love it. You're basically
again, like I didn't
Dr.
make this
Bonner.
Yeah, actually,
Bronner.
it's funny you mentioned that, because I don't know if you've been following me long enough, you would know. I like my product labels originally looked like Dr. I swear you can like scroll back on my IG and probably see it, but like I fucking made a label of Dr. Bronner's, and them fools sent me they sent me a cease and desist letter, because they were like, you copped us so hard, bro. Like and the old labels are kind of like viral, like old school ferment vibes, where it's like, if you could keep. And I have like, God, I think on the website you might be able to get like a blanket I made, because I wrote all my own crazy Dr. Bronner's agriculture, all the weird writing was mine,
and stuff all over it.
I put quotes from other people I looked up to, and like people like my people. I put some quotes from like Native American elders, and like
that's
so
cool, man.
But then I wrote a bunch of just like,
so cool. Yeah, like a manifesto style,
right. And now I don't
basically
fuck with them, but like,
I can't believe the cult sent you a cease and desist letter, dude. That's wild.
I mean, David, like there's some weirdos, but like they do good work.
No,
I've seen some of their.
I buy their stuff all the time, man.
Yeah, no, they're great.
Like you said, I use it as everything. It's a laundry detergent. It's a shampoo. It's a
and we talked about putting rosemary oil in this, but it's kind of cool to be like just something we've made
all one.
Yeah, all one. No, I copped it so hard. I'll send y'all I'll pull you up a bit. I'll send y'all some stickers of it, because I have some of the old labels. I'll send
that's some funny shit.
It was
dude.
You gotta like really people would be like, it's been a while now. It's been
now I see it actually. Like I see it on the Even
Like
on the
if you
jars
look-
now, a little bit. I mean, like if you're looking at
Oh,
the
with the
Comfrey
colors.
bottle, right? Like, yeah, just the colors. It's
just
Yeah, it
like
does have
each
that.
flavor has a color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because
Yeah.
I just took off the little thing on the website that said like new labels coming soon because that was so long ago that I just had to scrub it. You know, it was a little scary.
This reminds me of like the peppermint flavor that I like to use.
You
As
can't
my,
say
my
that,
body.
bro.
I'm just
Wait,
not
their
trying
most popular one is my most popular one? Stop.
Dude, that's too funny, man. That's too funny. So it's a small community that like they're that's some funny shit. I don't
It's a
mean to
very
get you in
small
any
world.
trouble. I don't mean to get you in any
No,
trouble,
no,
but
no. It's all love. It's one
I,
love.
all love and all one.
All
And
one.
dude, that's like, I love using that stuff. Now I'm gonna have to try the fucking comp, or I can't use this as my body wash. I would have to use the wetting agent as a kind of
Do
substitute
not
for a
put this
Castile
on your
soap.
body. You could scrub a dove with the wetting agent in a pinch. You know, you could definitely scrub a love with the.
All right, I'm
Build
glad
the
we
soil sells.
clarified that.
No, Build the Soil sells this EM5 that's it's like a wetting agent pesticide oil based thing.
Yeah.
That is a soap also, and that like I washed my hair with. I mean, I'm
No
scared to
shit.
say it. Yeah, like it's crazy. It smells good as hell. It's like really nice.
Oh,
And, like
man,
it's like it's got all these essential oils in it.
I'm gonna have to try that. Because I've seen Jeremy use that to like clean his tents and stuff with in between runs. And hey, if you're telling me I can use that instead of Axe body wash, or the $9 Old Spice fucking body washes, ridiculously overpriced in today's economy.
Mix a little bit of that with your Dr. Bronner's, the EM5 with Dr. Bronner's. Thank me later.
You won't get powdery mildew.
I love this.
You won't get any kind of funk. Like, no, it'll be fun.
No fungus on you, Cap.
So what? Just curious though. If I did use the comfrey extract as a body wash,
No if, do not.
The
You obviously haven't ever
playing.
opened a bottle of this stuff and smelled it because you would put it
I haven't.
at arm's length immediately.
Would you put? Is it up there with like Photosynthesis Plus? You ever smell that stuff?
Oh yeah.
It's up there with
it's
like that.
It's up there with that.
All right, cool. Well,
Yeah,
dude,
you've seen Labyrinth, right? Like Bog of Eternal Sin.
That's exactly what I started thinking of. All right, we don't want. All right. So, what we say is, what if you don't have the stank, you ain't bringing the dank.
Right, the stank makes the dank.
That's right.
And yeah, that's
a
sign
little stank.
of decomposition.
I love it.
It's definitely a little stank.
Now,
once you dilute it, it's not so bad. But straight in the bottle concentrate.
All right, so diluted, I can use it as a body.
No.
I'm just playing. Dude, I'm just playing. We got some dirty hippie out there who's like Captain's onto something here. I really think I'm gonna do that. Don't try at your own risk. Try at your own risk, you dirty hippies.
Do not.
I'm just
do
playing.
not.
I'm just playing.
Jesus Christ.
Just playing.
You're gonna get us sued.
We have too much fun here.
If you put this stuff on your skin, you're an idiot.
We
We're
do.
gloves.
The old label
would it
even
tingle?
said this is not a soap.
Would it tingle like Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap?
Not at all. It will stank, and you will regret it. And like
it's more. It's a plant body wash. That's where we're going with this.
It's plant. Wash your plants with it. But even then, you don't like put the I don't know. You still dilute it. Nice. It's a concentrate.
I love it. It's a plant
1 ounce per gallon
body wash. Make sure they don't get powdery mildew.
Yes.
And
you wash the roots once a week. Wash the roots. Yeah.
And you're keeping out any unwanted pathogens. We're increasing the colonies of good bacteria, which, So will this? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Cap.
My question was, will this work with a synthetic nutrient program, or do you have to be a living soil guy?
No, it'll definitely improve quality and of your salt crop, and it will definitely, um, in a lot of cases, people can reduce their chemical fertilizer use, reduce like the rate that you're using it, and still be getting good results, still be getting quality, and augmenting with the fermented plant extracts, depending on what media you're in. But yeah, like fertilizer is often like I wouldn't say over applied, but it can like without the microbes present, it you need more. And with microbes present, you
Okay.
can kind of you get better uptake. Um, there's specific microbes for uptake, and there's specific microbes for decomposition. These are kind of the two different wings of living soil food systems. Is the where the plants get the plant roots connect to the microbes in the soil to get their nutrition, and the microbes that kind of break down soil at the very beginning. So lactobacillus is a breakdown in the beginning of the food web microbe, more so than a connective mycorrhizal, the root fungus associating. Those guys directly connect to the root tips and actually funnel nutrition into the
Awesome.
plants. Um, so, Mike, like this, you do get the best benefits of this in a living soil system because you have all this nutrient dense um, material in the form of amendments and compost in the soil, and these microbes are facilitating the breakdown of that into the available forms of
Yeah,
nutrition
yeah,
for
yeah.
other microbes.
Yeah, but we like to think too. Like, I mean, a little synganic goes a long
Oh,
way. If like, just add a little bit of funk to your regimen. Like, if you're just running the Athena program or something, like, yeah, throw in some ferments, throw in some stank, and you'll
I,
grow the dank. I promise you, it'll add a little something extra. Yeah, I truly believe that. So
yeah, it
just
does. It does increase quality in like watchable and seeable ways. I'm working with some facilities right now to get some data that I can like show off to be more than just anecdotal. Like, oh, the crops got better, we kept using it. Like, but that's ongoing for salt farmers, for Athena guys, for
yeah,
canna growers and people like that. Um, can't remember all the, but front row, a lot of these kind of guys, they benefit greatly from the ferments.
that's awesome.
So how you said you recommend doing this like once a week or so. How much do you feed once a week and how long would a bottle last you?
So if I was feeding once a week, I would probably feed 1 ounce per gallon. Um, and I would, and at that rate, a gallon would do 128 gallons of feed water.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Okay.
a gallon is 128 ounces, I do believe. So yeah, that's and you could even go like lighter than that, especially considering the end of flowering. I usually stop towards the end, like last week or two. I stopped
Hmm.
feeding the ferments, and personally, I just finish with calcium. I like to finish with gypsum at the end. Um, so that's
Awesome.
that's my regime. But yeah, these there's the build a soil
Yeah.
page.
So
There's
this
the
is where
sleep of
you'd
fire.
prefer people buy it from?
I can only do so much fulfillment. I mean,
Gotcha.
Build a Soil is my like number one distributor. I do sell them on the website. I've like, there's certain times when I can do more fulfillment out of the house,
Hey, no, it
but
makes sense.
Delegate,
I
delegate, delegate.
well, and I want what's best for my customers ultimately, and like it's not cool when I take too long. It's I don't want to be the I don't want to be the
I
problem. So
hear
I
that.
like definitely am happy to leave it to
Ooh,
the professionals. But yeah, my website is a great place for news, info, um, education classes. I'll have the link to this show on, and I think there's a media section. So,
cool.
but I love to do sales through the website too. I'm, just stay tuned. There's always something available via the
wherever
website.
you're getting it from.
Build the source, fam.
I think I had seen. I love watching the videos, and just I learned so much from Jeremy. Hey, if you know the man, hey, tell him we'd love to have him on. I'd love to speak to him about the living soil way. Oh, so there's a couple different things on here, like the peach and the pumpkin. If I'm not mistaken, there was like a feed chart too, right?
Yeah, that's on my website. If you go to the ferment site, there's a
Okay.
high res feeding chart. And to be fair, the feeding chart doesn't include all the products, but it gives you an idea of like makes like of what. So if you had watermelon instead of um, if you had watermelon instead of pumpkin or peach, you could see where it would fit in. You know, if you had nettle instead of comfrey, or if you just had hemp and pumpkin, or if you just had hemp and watermelon, you'd still kind of get an idea of what goes where.
Awesome.
You know, so the only ones that kind of don't fit this framework is the willow and sage and horsetail. Those three are kind of unique in that they're based on like other preparations that came before in biodynamics, or in traditional farming. Like willow water was always something that was used for cloning and for the propagation benefits of that salicylic acid, primarily, I believe, in the willow, or some enzymes and some hormones, perhaps. But the salicylic acid is a great one too. That's kind of it triggers something in the plant as a stress response without the stress. So it's like triggering it to get stronger to fight off
silica.
I don't know if it is the silica, but it's like a hormonal thing.
Acid
it might be. Yeah, it could be, but I don't know if it's silica doing that triggering or what's happening there. But it does.
I thought that was like the active form of the silica. That I mean, I've heard by adding a silica input, like you're getting a stronger stem, like all these certain responses.
Yeah, that's in the horsetail. He was saying, right? So you've more silica in the horsetail.
That's awesome.
Specifically, and that's again something I didn't make up. Horsetail equisetum is a biodynamic preparation.
Oh man.
Yeah, and if you've ever seen horsetail before, it's very like fibrous and firm and strong. So it makes perfect sense that it holds a lot of silica in it. So
they're kind of segmented and brittle and but like very like crisp.
Yes.
So and that's kind of people say if you have too much silica in your plants, they kind of get brittle. And they can kind of like, if you have the right amount, the stems will snap off. This is like old school grower talk, but now we can track like too much silica, too little, all the way down into the hash. And again, none of these preparations are so high in anything that they're going to cause a problem. Like you're not going to feed too much comfrey. If you fed comfrey all the way through, you're not going to have a harsh weed because you gave it a bunch of nitrogen and bloom. It's not. None of them are so high in anything as to throw things out of whack. They're all supplemental, and signaling is kind of like the big big thing that's going on here. But lots of enzymes, nutrition, and all these plants I use each one has like really specific benefits.
I'm like a visual person. I look at this right away and I can see exactly what you're saying with that. Like, each one has its place in like the plant's life cycle.
Yeah.
And I love, like you said too, we don't spray our plants past week 2 of flower. So you'll notice, of course, like you're not directed to use a foliar feed after week 2 of flower for any of them. Just use it as a root drench.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can download high-res version of that on the website.
Great.
Print it out. It's a good one.
So what plants are next for you? What do you feel like you're missing, or what is on like the dream list?
I mean, okay, so like the key is to, I mean, the key is to use what you have, and it's about waste. So really, it's not really. I don't really necessarily want to add more SKUs to my product line. I think maybe blending. Like I'm working on a blend. I've done the blend. I'm using it, applying it, and testing it. Like certain blends to almost reduce the number of SKUs I have and give more again better value to the customers by giving more benefits in one bottle, perhaps. Um, the other thing is like working with people. Like I really love working with other farms, other farmers, and seeing what they have at their disposal that they might not be taking the best advantage of, or saying like, oh, okay, if this is what you have, here's what we can do with that to make best use of it to reintroduce nutrition back into your own land using your own waste stream. Even just waste producers, like some of the practices we do or that I do is um, like could be useful in waste management and in like anybody dealing with food waste, grocery produce waste, anything in that realm could be applied into these systems to make fertilizer, to make ferments, to make compost, to even make food products like in like value added food products that are dual use. Like you could use it as a fertilizer, or you could feed it to people if you make it in the right setting, right? Um, cleanliness from the right materials.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's so
It
atypical
is.
from what we see the in the offerings of to the cannabis community. Like most people who are selling products want there's a lot of gatekeeping, there's a lot of like more, and to see something opposite that is very refreshing.
Thank you, G3, for that. That means the world to me because that is like the big part of what I do is education and empowerment through education. And people look at me and they're just like, yo, you're the stupidest person ever for teaching people how to make. Like, you taught people, like, they're like, how did you think that was going to go for you? Like,
Oh man.
so respect for like real recognized real. I appreciate you like seeing that aspect of this, that it isn't
Yeah.
like about me or, you know, gatekeeping. It's about empowerment. It's about making it's also to me it's about proving our value as cannabis users outside of cannabis, like what we do and what we learn and how we enrich ourselves inside of the cannabis space is valuable outside of it. Like I love working with other kinds of farms, other kinds of farmers, other crops, other industries, and being like, yeah, like cannabis brought me here, and like in exchange for cannabis bringing me here, I brought some cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for real, it's like we have value, and what we do in this space is coming to be respected, valued outside of it. That's an exciting journey that I'm on right now. Seeking that
Dude,
experience.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really closing the loop, for yourself and for other people. It's like respect, hats off to you. They're like just potentially, man, could I like make a, layman's hemp extract out of my like defoliation pile of leaves, like with a little lactobacillus. Like say I wash that off
You want
some rice, I get some
now?
some
Let me do you
labs
even
from my
better than that.
kitchen. Yeah.
I can, yeah, let's do a little
How
DIY
would I
right
do
quick for
that?
your
Yeah.
listeners.
Yes.
So the easiest one that I can describe is called JLF, and this is a Jadam preparation. And it's very similar to fermented plant extracts, and I'll explain why. But
Okay.
this is like anybody can do JLF, and it's literally just plant matter in a bucket with water and some dirt, like rich dirt, like nice, rich, like compost. They say leaf mold, like if you just have leaves
Okay.
piled
Yeah,
up
yeah,
that
yeah.
are like all stacked up and decomposed for a couple of years, that like in the middle of that pile where the leaves are starting to break down, put that in there.
That good
Um,
shit.
yeah, and that's like, and then you wait like a few weeks to a month or two, and like you get like this stinky water mix. And basically what you're doing is you're using water, uh, a nutrient dense food supply, your plant matter, and an inoculant, that inoculant being whatever microbes are in that rich soil. That's the only difference between that and ferments, is that you add lactobacillus and sugar to that water
Gotcha.
in that plant matter. That you're just adding a very specific inoculant of lactobacillus. And check it out. You could use my ferments as some of that lactobacillus, because there's lactobacillus in my ferments. You could use them as a starter to like doing your own little batch. I would suggest using extra, or even like using other sources of labs in there with it to get the diversity.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like
so
it's a starter.
I'll grab a bottle of the hemp extract and use that to kickstart my own process. I see. This man knows how to sell product. He's like,
he just wants to give you the keys, my friend.
I'm just playing, dude. It makes nothing but sense. And so like, but could I use the same, like, could I use the same lactobacillus at the brewery and throw that like in a bucket with sugar and hemp leaves, like my cannabis defoliation
just
pod,
a little bit of sugar, just a little bit of sugar.
Turn in, all right, that's
like 1% of your solution sugar, and then you could use.
Hey, there's a recipe, you know. Mm-hmm. I want to get it from the master, dude. I'm like, I don't, this man has his recipes tweaked, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it makes perfect sense. Like, can I make a comfrey extract? I mean, sure, I can. Am I going to do it?
Can I?
No.
Will I? We're home growers. I don't have like we're talking about the same reason why like I still buy my compost, like I'd love to have a compost pile of like world-class black gold that I always have access to, but like, unfortunately I just not in the cards right now. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to keep the smell under control and the neighbors unaware.
Right. No, there's some ways that we can have access to this thing and some ways we can't. It's like the best, so the best, most enriching part is growing the plant. So if you get to grow the plant and smoke that and have your own crop,
dude. For me, guys like you are invaluable, because like I can't do this yet, and I need someone who is doing it, who had the genius idea to look at the market and be like, you know what? There's no like widely accessible FPEs out there. I mean, like, you need to be able to go online, click a button, and buy one. It shows up at your door. Like, so, like, yeah.
Yeah, and by selling it, I've made the technology and the technique and the knowledge of how to make them widely available and like easy to access. If you're aware of me, you have access to all that. So that's where I've run it with, and it's I'm grateful for people like y'all who see the value of what I do and like reciprocate with time on your airspace on your channel and stuff, because this is a valuable space to hold for the community.
Yeah, we're, like I said, we're the nerds. We're the true, like, the diehards, like, growing with no permission necessary. Just like, we're the people out there who fuck around with the 14-week strains. Like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna get that THCV or some like weird cannabinoid. Like, it'll take away your hunger, not give you the munchies, right?
Yep.
I pass out before I get hungry.
Obscure stuff, right? Like, I'm looking for meat terps, chocolate terps, all types of unusual stuff. And
sometimes I'm just looking for a surprise. I like popping seeds and just being like, oh, what are you? Like, 100%. You're looking a little bit funky, smell different. I don't know what to expect. We're gonna have fun.
100%, man. And this stuff, we can grow whatever we feel like, which is great. Like, and not kind of what the market responds to. And again, like, the personal attention we can put into our plants, I feel like this is kind of the next step for me, to be honest. I mean, it's making it accessible. I can just get a couple bottles of this stuff and like take me most of the way through the plant's life cycle, and it'll maybe unlock something in my plants I have yet to experience. You know what I mean?
And then maybe it'll unlock something in you, and you'll start doing it yourself.
Well, if you fuck with auto pots, you should look at the Tray to Grow.
Yeah.
And like that shit full of a Tray to Grow full of living soil, where you could hybridize top watering and watering in it. Yeah, they Build a Soil makes a little bed that fits right in it and all that.
Yeah.
Or Grassroots does at Build a Soil's request. I think it was like, all these things coming together to be like, ooh, we could do that if we we'll hack it together and throw some soil in it.
It's funny. I use that style. I don't have a bed, but I do have 9-gallon pots of living soil, and I use a kind of hybrid approach. I mean, auto pots, you will kind of find that like the soil at the top, like a couple inches, leaves a little bit of room for you to add like a minimal amount of water with kind of whatever organic inputs you have in there. I like to keep my reservoir fairly clean. I do put photosynthesis plus in there, and I'm kind of thinking like this stuff might would you advise it goes in the reservoir, or would it get maybe a little bit funky, maybe a little bit clumpy or something, and I would be better served by putting it like on top?
Funky, not clumpy, but yes, on top, because
okay.
Also there's so you're running living soil and auto pots?
Living soil and auto pots with reservoir. Now you're probably gonna say it's gonna the microbial population's gonna survive way better in the soil than in the reservoir. So for the sake of the product itself, it's just better to put it in the soil right away, right?
Direct application. Yeah, for sure. The other thing that I always want to remind people with bottom watering systems is that when you top water, you're displacing the airspace in the soil, like all the air porosity in the soil is being displaced when you top water, because the water comes in and it pushes all that dead air out and introduces water, and then it pulls fresh air in behind it. So and one of the big things that we need in the root zone is DO, dissolved oxygen, and that's why we use these aerated porous. Cocoa is really popular because it maintains its aeration and porosity. But when you top water, you are reintroducing fresh O2 in there, invigorating the microbial population, invigorating the roots, and that's the one gripe I have with fully bottom watered systems, is that you lose this in the super purist living soil realm of biomimicry. You would say you need rain. There's very few places on nature that are purely bottom fed that never get rained on. Maybe out here in the desert next to a river.
They might have access to an aquifer, but most of any kind of organic matter that's falling around the plant's going to be washed down from above.
Beaten down into the soil, broken down, and that aeration sense. Replacement is key. So, or in any media,
The hybrid watering approach for the win.
Personally, I'd not say you can't grow a killer crop without ever top watering. You can. It's just, I'm gonna say for my product, since I get to say about my product, I think you're gonna get better results by top watering it because of all the other benefits. But if you're in a pinch and you can't do it, you're not gonna be around. You put in the reservoir, you're gonna get funk, smell, but not clumps. You're not gonna get clumpiness, but you are gonna get a stank to the res. Which if you're using photosynthesis plus, you're already
it stinks. But we had them on the show a couple times.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, the Photo Plus kind of acts as it cleans the lines, has a property that specific microbe population will act as a line cleaner too. It's super cool.
Lactobacillus can do that too. There's products, awesome. There's companies that sell lactobacillus as a line cleaner. The active ingredient in their line cleaner is lactobacillus, because it breaks down whatever organic matter.
It's
like
the decomposer.
we learned,
Yeah.
like, the same smell you get, like maybe it's probably the same smell when you open up that comfrey, that bottle of comfrey extract is like similar to that smell you get when you pass like the water treatment plant when it's like when it's running. That's because they use microbes to eat the waste that's in water and make it clean. Like, it's just
100%.
massive amounts of microbes. It's amazing the stuff that these little things can do. It is.
Yeah, and they're constantly doing it all the time out in nature, just maintaining ecosystems, doing their thing. And again, like that's kind of at its heart what living soil is: biomimicry. We're mimicking
Yeah,
ecosystems
I
in
love
our
that.
little pots, in our little beds, or our garden, or whatever.
Now,
Amazing.
I don't know if like giving making cannibal plants is a biomimicry, or that's just like
No, it is, bro.
It is. Chop
It
it
is
up.
because
That's
no,
true.
like
It's
it's
true.
like a
No, you're
leaf.
right.
A
You're
tree
right.
grows, it drops its own leaves. Those leaves like decompose. Like
Okay, you're
it's
right.
like
No, you're
the
right.
yeah. If a plant grows multiple seasons, if it's a what's it called?
100%, man.
Yeah. Then yeah,
It's
like
in the field of hemp. Like, it's the dead
yeah,
plants just creating the soil that grow the new plants. It's just the cycle of life.
right. The population comes where the old population was. And the
Yeah, no,
population's
yeah,
Yep.
makes sense, dude. All right, I'm gonna feel less spiritually horrible about it when I when I feed my plants.
Cannibalism is like
Yeah.
a very harsh take on it. Of
I know. I'm
like
just
when
playing.
we shouldn't be. We don't need to be. But nature comes from this place of like self enrichment, enriched by
Eh?
Yeah.
Well, it has to eat
Everything is
itself. What
reused.
else is there than nature? I'm just being a
Being you.
jerking. I'm
Oh my gosh.
jerking
All right.
and joking around. Yeah.
So, Miles, we know that we can find your stuff on the Build a Soil website, and you have descriptions of your stuff on yours. Where else can we find you?
Always fermentedplantextracts.com, weedshouldtastegood.com for the clothing,
Nice.
which I would love to get y'all some t-shirts. Let's talk about that.
Mhm.
Oh, hell
Maybe
yeah.
some stuff to do, like I don't know if you guys do giveaways or what, but
We
I would love to
certainly
just hook y'all up a
do.
little bit with some seed packs and some
Yeah.
apparel.
Ooh, love that.
Find me on the IG, Weed Should Taste Good at Fermented Plant Extracts. Um, I love doing these kind of things. I think there's a media tab on the websites that like kind of
Cool.
backlog a lot of these kind of appearances because I love doing this kind of stuff with people and connecting with the community. I throw a party each year for the last 2 years, like kind of a big customer appreciation party out here in Western Colorado for Build the Soil, and it's like a little cup friendly cooperative competition type of vibes. Keep it casual, but we get some great entries and some amazing stuff. Some cool guest judges last year. So yeah, and it's an educational event. So that's called Build a Soil Days and the Living Soil Cup. I'd love to have you guys out if you want to come out and talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk, dude. Let's talk. Absolutely. Yeah, so you're a part of the community now. We kind of, like I said, we got our own little thing. We got the Discord. Is kind of where we all hang out. Anyone listening to this show, you're cordially invited to come. If you need a link,
Yep.
message us. Can I post one in the chat right now?
Yeah, sure
I
you
probably
can.
can do that, but
Discord links.
yeah,
Yes.
Discord's a great place. That's where we're hanging out, talking plants, pretty much all day, every day. And yeah, I forgot where I was going with that because I'm looking for a link now. But
No, I thank you for opening up the community to me and for, again, like what y'all do is so valuable. Not just individually, but as a group, like the cannabis podcasters, the people who not only do we all have access to this plant, whether it's legal or not, we got like seeds and information and like
oh yeah,
people
dude,
who've done it before us. We got this technology to connect with each other on. It's pretty dope.
it's crazy. Like, to think not where we've come from, as like we were talking about as smokers, the differences that we're experiencing with the variety and the choices and all this stuff. but as growers too, just amazing how far we've come. I mean, the access to information is truly the revolution that's happening right now. And it wasn't
Yo,
like
for real.
that even, I mean, 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, there were forums, you know, but like,
I remember when
Nothing
I
like
first
we
started
have.
posting pictures of the grows online. I remember like the day I was just like, "Fuck it, here we go. We're just gonna post pictures of the warehouse on the fucking internet." Like, here we go, and just like, fuck, like what the, you know? And that was 2010, and it was like, that's
Wow.
yeah, and it was
oh,
that
we've
was on
come.
IC Mag forums. Yeah, it's like, different world now.
Yep.
My
Yep.
goodness.
No, you just get
Certainly.
like, you know, people mostly aren't willing to share like this type of kung fu magic. Like this is high level stuff. Like this is like what separates great weed and like world class weed from just like another like jar or bag on the shelf. This is the type of shit that really separates like mid tier from like world class, like I said. And it's like you're not gonna. It's the same with beer. It's same with any industry, man. We're looking for the best. We want the best, and that's I do feel like this is a pathway I gotta check out as far as
So
quality. I'm sold on
in
it.
that in
Mhm.
that vein of thinking of being like the higher echelon of quality, these lactobacillus specifically and ferments and all the things that kind of come with lactobacillus used to be more of like a trade secret for like the people who really killed it in other industries other than cannabis, like fruit trees and all this
Yeah,
other
yeah.
stuff. Like people who like kind of had this esoteric knowledge, not necessarily gate kept it, but just that it was more of a secretive thing of like competition of being like, yeah, I do this, I do these little extras that other people probably don't do, and maybe they do or maybe they don't. But I always like to say that's greater than some of the parts. They all combine to be something like that's
Yes.
the aggregation of nominal gains of little tiny benefits. So
100%, man. And
yeah,
you're
it's
doing
real.
things to the plant that we can't even like scientifically understand. You know, there's
Absolutely.
all sorts of yeah, we cannot quantify it, but we all know it to be true. We all know it. Everyone knows it.
Exactly.
So
It's happening.
yeah, no, I'm thank you so much for spending your time with us in our little corner
Yes.
of the grow
So
world
much
here.
thanks.
And we're gonna
This is
have to
great.
have you back. Like that's kind of where I was going. You're part of the community. I'd love to have you back on the show anytime you're available or having something new you want to talk about. Come back on. And again, I feel like I could just pick your brain about this topic for another hour and a half and just like
Say
really,
when, man. Just
hey man,
another
you know.
Tuesday.
All right, well we'll wait a couple weeks, but again,
Yeah, yeah.
come
We'll give
onto the
it time.
Discord and yeah, just say hi to people there and if you have anything to say, now's your chance before we sign off.
Mm-hmm.
And
The floor is
yeah,
yours,
give
sir.
thanks to the community. Hold it down. Like, thank y'all for listening and giving me attention and supporting the channel and everybody, for making it happen. Because this is an important space that we hold, like, online in the technoverse. So thank y'all. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Our
So much
pleasure.
thanks.
Our pleasure. And you know what we say to all the listeners out there, just, come back next week. And most importantly, don't get caught.